Hello, I'll be explaining binomial distribution بصراحة. So imagine they gave you most of the questions are gonna be this way. They're gonna give you a probability of somewhat and a fixed number of trials, and they have an expectation. Like they want to know what's the probability of blah 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 happening. Let's get into an example. So مثلا imagine they have a medication they created. They said this medication has a 50% effectiveness rate مثلا, okay? They gave you like 5 people, and they were like, what are the chances that 5 people with a specific illness مثلا that can use this medication? So what's the probability that 3 people might actually be cured from this medication? فانت تبين طلعين probability depending on this. So binomial distribution basically tells you the success in a set of number of trials. Okay, so how successful the medication is in a series number of trials. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the number of trials we have. We want to know the success rate. هم قالوا لنا هني شو نبغى نحن. We're looking for 3 people to NH off one from هالمرض or whatever. So I think you guys heard the doctor was talking about something called, and don't get at me, I don't know how to say these words, something trial. This word Bernoulli trials, I don't know, it's just a fancy way to say a single experiment and has only 2 possible outcomes. Either it's a success or either it's a failure. So it's a trial. So يا هالشخص ياخذ المedication, he's gonna eat it, okay, هذا هو. He's gonna eat it, and either he's gonna be alive and healthy and happy, or either he's gonna die. Okay, this was a bad way to draw someone dying. Wait 1 sec. One thing you're gonna see, I'm not gonna go into this خرابيط. I'm just gonna straight away give you what you need to know. Okay, so what you need to know in order to calculate هالأشياء is something called, or this equation, right? It is this equation. So P of x at the outcome x اللي we're looking at equals to nx pk 1 minus the probability x minus, I'm looking at something else, right, sorry, n minus x, sorry, I don't know. So the only thing you need to know is this equation so far, okay? Any type of question, you're going to use this equation. And what does the P mean? The P basically means the probability. So what do you mean by the probability? Is it the probability that it's given, or is it the probability we're looking for? So hal P is the probability we're looking for, the capital P. The small p is the probability that has been given, اللي هو هذا. Alright? And then n is the number of, or the total number of trials we're doing in this experiment. Total number of trials is on مثلا 5 people. So 5. X is basically what we're looking for. نحن we're looking for successful trials. Successful trials of 3 people. Of 3 people. Okay? So what you're gonna do is just directly plug. I'm pretty sure you guys know how to plug p to the power of x, which is p, which is 50%. 50% in decimal form is 0.5, right? Or not in percentage. Times 1 minus p, which is 0.5 to the power of n minus x. Will n شو كان? n is 5 minus x, which is 3. Let's just replace this. 0.5 to the power of 3. Okay, and then you're gonna plug n و x. n قلنا شو? It's 5 و x قلنا it's 3. ف 5 3. I'm pretty sure you guys know how to compute this part on your own. يعني عادي, just plug it in the calculator. أما this part اللي هني, you can do it by hand or you could do it by calculator. So if you're gonna go by the calculator, type 5 and then press shift division, وبيكون مكتوب فوق ال division button بيكون مكتوب NR n combination or something like that, or n no بيكون في شيء مكتوب like this. So you're gonna press that and then you're gonna press 3 next to it, which is gonna give you a number. Or you can execute this by hand, like through an equation, which is basically n factorial over x factorial brackets n minus x. So you know n factorial basically means إذا قلنا 3 factorial, it's equivalent to 3 times 2 times 1, and you get the answer. نفس الشيء إذا قالت 8 factorial, it's 8 times 7 times 6 blah 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 up to 1. Alright, you can compute this by hand, بيطلع لكم a number, plug it back into this equation, و compute this, which should give you a number. Okay, this number مثلا I didn't calculate it, مثلا قال لكم 0.2573. Alright, let's assume that's what's given. So this is the probability, okay, of the probability of x, which is the successful rates we're looking for, at 3 is equal to, which is what we computed, which is 0.573, which is also in percentage form 25.73%. Alright, so this is the only thing you need to know so far. يعني if you know how to calculate this equation, you're good 70% of the time. But one thing you're gonna encounter في الأسئلة are 2 types of questions. Okay, فالدكتور عادي يبلنا 2 types of questions. So what type of questions do we have? في the key terminologies that you need to know, which is exactly. If they said exactly in the question, or if they said من هالناحية fewer than, or less than, or more than, or greater than, or at most, or at least. هذا بيكون في حسبة ثانية. This part of إذا في سؤال and they use these terminologies instead of this, when they're giving you the x, okay, when they're giving you the number of successful trials اللي هو p of x, is it exactly هذا exactly basically in شو اسمه sign form means exactly. So exactly at 3 مثلا إذا قال لكم fewer than, less than, more than, greater than, at most, at least, هذا does not mean exactly this. It means either this or this or this or this. You're going to use one of these 4 in order to fill in the p of x. واحد من هالأشياء مثلا p of x, the x that the number of successful trials نبغى يكون أكبر عن مثلا 7, أكبر أو يساوي 7. Alright, so اللي حسبناه توا is exactly at 3. Okay, I'll just solve another question just for the sake of it يعني. Okay, مثلا there's a geneticist who they did a study and there's a gene that's expressed in مثلا 40% of individuals in a population. Okay, so in the question they gave you in a p is equal to 40. Alright, which is 0.40. Alright, and then they said if 10 individuals are randomly selected, so they gave you that the trial depends on 10 people. 10 people are the n. Okay, this is the full trial, we're not looking at the successful rate, we're just looking at how many individuals or how many experiments we're going to carry. We're going to carry 10 experiments. And from that experiment, they said, what is the probability that exactly, so the key terminology, and I don't check to بحط p and x, and then I write, is it exactly, is it less than, is it fewer than, is it more than? So قال لكم exactly, okay, exactly مثلا 4, okay, so exactly 4. So we know in a capital P is going to be x at exactly 4. So we're just going to compute only 4. خليني أشرح الأيديا شوي الحين. اليوم نقول exactly 4. أوكي، هم شو قالوا لكم؟ قالوا لكم نحن بالضبط نبى 4، لا نبى أكثر ولا نبى أقل ولا نبى 0. We want exactly the number 4. So we have from 0 to 10. Okay. In other words, it could be 0%, none of them, or 100%. Okay, which is all 10 people. نحن we know the probability is from شو؟ from 0 to 1. 0 to 1 من وين يابو هالرقم؟ It's the same as from 0% to 1%. The probability of أنا أجيب 100 في الامتحان is يا 0% or 100%. It's يعني there is a possibility of أن يجيب 0%, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. ما في 101%. ما في negative 10% unless like الدكتور غلسوا إلا يبي ينقصني على أي شيء. فيعني the probability is always a number from 0 up until 1. Okay, which is a translation of 0% to 1%. They say they want exactly at 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 knock. So when they said they want exactly at 4, اللي هو هذا, we want to know the probability exactly at this point. لا at this point, ولا at this point, ولا at this point. We want to know exactly at this point. So we're just going to calculate the probability at this point here, which is 4. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to P of x at 4, which is equal to نحن قلنا n of x. Okay? بعدين قلنا شو probability to the power of x times the 1 minus probability n minus x. Plug, which is equal to 10, which is the total number of experiments we're going to carry on. 4 is what we're looking. Probability is 0.4, which is given مني في السؤال. X, just plug the numbers in. 4, 1 minus 0.4, 10 minus 4. When you're going to compute this, بيطلع لكم P of X exactly at 4. It's going to be 0.2508, or in other words, 25.08%. So the probability of exactly getting 4 people is 0.2508 or 25.08% of only getting exactly 4 people. ما قلنا نحن نبغى 3 or 2 or 1. ما قلنا نحن نبغى أقل أو أكثر. نحن نكسبين سالفة الأقل والأكثر. I hope you guys get this point أول شيء. الحين this is the first step of, this is like the simple straightforward type اللي قلنا شو, it's an exactly type of question. ما في other, there's nothing complicated. الحين when you're gonna do fewer or less than, you're still gonna do this equation, but you're either gonna do this equation several times or you're gonna, I'll explain it الحين, you're just gonna like get a shortcut to it. Okay, sorry. Cut. Sorry. Okay. So الحين if they gave us another question, قالوا لنا or let's do the same question. Let's do the same question for the sake of understanding. Okay? They gave us the same question وقالوا لنا instead of exactly 4, they want to know the probability of getting at least or at most 4. What does the word at most mean? يعني أكثر شيء نقدر نوصله 4. نحن عنا أقل شيء which is 0 صح؟ So أكثر شيء نقدر نوصله is either 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or at most. The word at most includes the number 4. At most 4. So we want to know the probability هني وهني وهني, sorry, هني وهني 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 لين 4. We want to know هذا وهذا 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 وهذا, and what we're going to do is add all of them up. So we're going to do the probability of x being at 0 and the probability of, and the plus the probability of x being at 1 plus the probability of x being at 2 plus the probability of x being at 3 plus the probability of x equal or at 4. شو بتسوون الحين? You're gonna do the same exact equation اللي فوق. So you're gonna do p of x at 0. قلنا شو الconditions 10 ونحن this is the x, so we're gonna put 0. when you they give us the probability 0.4 is the probability to the power of شو كان to the power of x. Alright, the power of x is 0 times 1 minus 0.4, 10 minus 4. You're gonna compute this, you're gonna get a number صح? Okay, keep that number on the side. الحين do the other one. P of x equals to 1, which is 10 will x 1 0.4 1 1 minus 0.4 10 minus 1 sorry المفروض يكون 0. compute this بيطلع لكم a value 2 p of x equals to 2 10 2 0.4 2 1 minus 0.4 10 minus 2 بيطلع لكم a value صح. do the same thing for p of x at 3 و p of x at 4 بقى يطلع لكم شو؟ يطلع لكم another value. okay now what you're gonna do is take all these values and add them up. لأن نحن نشوف قلنا في سؤالنا the probability of at most having 4. So we want to know if we have a probability of getting 0. We want to know the probability of getting 1. We want to know the probability of getting 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to add all of them up, which basically gives you the probability from 0 up till 4. So you want to get the number over here. فبيطلع لكم the probability sorry لازم قبل لا شو اسمه كان لازم نعدل هذا. The probability of x being greater or equal شو اسمه at most which is being less than or equal to 4. So أكثر رقم يقدر يوصل له is 4 and all the x's should be less than 4. I know these signs are a bit confusing but you'll get the grasp of it if you translate this. So أكبر رقم يقدر يوصل له 4 وكل الأرقام اللي لازم تكون أقل عن 4 تكون 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3. okay so this is what you're gonna do. فبيطلع لكم هذا كله is equal to p of x less than or equal to 4 which is the same way كان الدكتور يكتبه في السبورة p of x I didn't mean to make fun of him. المهم p of x equals to p x plus 0 you get it blah 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 till p of x equals to 4. alright so here's computing each one individually and plugging it back. So these are the two type of questions you can get. الحين بقول لكم شيء إذا مثلا قالوا لنا هني okay خلينا نغير السؤال again. إذا قالوا لنا ونحن بنطلع الأكس at most 9 okay would it make sense to calculate 9 probabilities فما بتسوون شو يعني الحين okay let's clear this all up. Good. okay so إذا قال لكم نفس السؤال again probability is 40% we have 10 individuals نبي نعرف إنه at most 9 people شو اسمه have this gene. alright شو كان أصلا صار شو كان إنه هي 9 people express this gene. فنحن out of 10 okay from 0 till 10 we want to know the probability 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 we want to know the probability of achieving at most 9. So we want to know at 0, we want to know at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we don't want to know at 10. فانت شو تقدر تسوون؟ قلنا p of x at most is 9. We're going to do p of x at 0 plus p of x at 1 plus p of x at 2 plus وانا مت وانا ليه ما اوصل p of x at 9. And فوق كل هذا you're going to start doing p of x equals to 0. We're gonna compute it. You're gonna use that equation. ليه ما تخلصون كل you're gonna do it all لين 9 صح؟ بس أنا شو كنت قاعدة أقول لكم في البداية أن probability is a number from 0 to 1. You either get 0% or 100%. فبدال لا تسوونها العفسة كلها you can do something else. okay أنا شو كنت قاعدة أقول أن probability is a number from 0 till 1. يعني إذا أنا طلعت هالرقم اللي هني كامل okay إذا I just calculated all by hand whatever I got the number I got if I minused it from 1 it's gonna be this value over here. فأنا شو أقدر أسوي؟ أقدر بس أحسب هالرقم so I can just do p of x less than شو اسمه less than or equal to 9 or at most 9 is equal to 1 minus p of x شو اسمه which equals to p of x being exactly greater or equal to 10. We can write it this way or we can write it بعد in other ways p okay which is equal to x greater than شو اسمه 9. alright we can do it this way or that way they're both the same exactly. هذا بس includes the 10 وهم the x's أكثر شيء you can reach is 10 لأن في هالسؤال is 10. alright إذا قال لكم مثلا the set is 30 so it's 10 up until 30. بس هني لأنه قال لكم شو it's only 10 فyou're only gonna use up to 10. فيعني x is equal to 10. وهني all the x's that are above 9 is only 10 لأنه it's again out of 10 people بس. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna compute basically. So الحين you're gonna do p of x exactly at 10, alright, which is هذا, which is gonna equal to 10, alright, 0.4 to the power of 10 times 1 minus 0.4, 10 minus 10. ولا يغيركم 10 minus 10 is 0 يعني you're gonna get nothing. Something to the power of 0 is equal to 1. فهذا كله is equal to 1. So you're just gonna compute this in the calculator. بيطلع لكم p of x at 10. بيطلع لكم a number. That number شو كنا نقول إن إذا حسبتوا هالرقم نقصتوه من 1 لأن probability is out of 1. 0 to 1. 0%, 100%. That's the most you can get. إذا نقصتوا هالرقم من 1 بيطلع لكم كل الباقي. ففي do الحين you're gonna take this, plug it back into this equation. It's gonna be 1 minus p of الرقم اللي طلعتوه بيطلع لكم p of x less than or greater than less than or equal to 9. So these are the only possible scenarios that you can get. This is for binomial distribution, okay? خلصنا الحين. I'll go to the second one, which is the normal distribution. The normal distribution من اسمه is أول شيء لازم تستوعبون إن it's a distribution exactly in the, like there is no كيف أشرح لكم إياه. مثلا you guys know what the normal distribution is. في basically يعني you have a distribution of the data that you get. So it basically tells you how the data points are distributed in a set, okay? It's always sometimes it often looks like a bell. It's called the bell curve because it looks like a bell, okay? One thing you need to realize about this curve is that the mean, the median, and the mode, all of them are exactly at the middle. So what does the mean? Mean is this sign means mean, صح? Okay. What does this sign mean? This sign basically means the standard deviation. So the word deviation means when something deviates away يعني it goes away ولا يميل away ولا it moves away. So what's the standard deviation value from the mean. فيعني الحين قالوا لنا مثلا هني okay قالوا لكم approximately 68% of the data is within one standard deviation of the mean. So it's either this يعني عندكم the mean, so it's either one standard deviation away from the mean, so it's plus or minus one of the mean. Alright, so it's either plus the standard deviation or minus. So 68% of the data lies between هني, which is هذا المين قلنا نحن شو within one standard deviation. So it could be أقل it could be أكثر or it could be أقل by one standard deviation. بعدين قال لكم 95% falls between this range in two standard deviations, which is 2 standard deviations. So standard deviation plus minus 2 mean plus minus 2 standard deviations. ونفس الشيء لما توصلون 3 standard deviations you have most of the values fall between 3 standard deviations 99.7. الحين for a quick example الدكتور يمكن يعطيكم إياه is أول شيء how do we denote mean and standard deviation. طبعا الدكتور عادي يقول لكم مثلا خليني بس أحط لكم إياه بيقول لكم Z okay is denoted هال curly thingy means denote of the normal distribution, alright, as the mean and the standard or as the variance. So هنا شو حاطين the mean and then حاطين the variance. شو هو الفارينس؟ انتو شفتوها توا فوق صح؟ هذا بروحه كان the standard deviation. Standard deviation square is basically the variance. How do you go from variance to standard deviation? Square root the standard deviation بيطلع لكم square root the variance بيطلع لكم the standard deviation. Alright? So in a question أول شيء خل هذا الحين I'll explain it من عندي عشان ما يصير فوضى. Okay. Imagine اثنين راحوا يمتحنون. Okay. أحمد ومحمد. أحمد أكل التفاح بس الحين أحمد قاعد يمتحن. okay so أحمد okay قال أنا I'm gonna go take the SATs. محمد okay قال شو أنا I'm gonna take the ACAT يسمونه المهم the ACTs. alright أحمد خلص الامتحان كم ياب؟ أحمد ياب 1800. محمد خلص ال ACTs وياب 24. الحين أحمد ومحمد قالوا which one did better. They don't know which one did better. It doesn't make sense إنه شو قصدك أنت جايب 24 الثاني يقول أنت شو قصدك جايب 1000 وشيء أنت في امتحان 1000 وشيء. They're confused. So what they can do is they can do the normal distribution equation. okay so أول شيء بعد ما خلصوا امتحنوا طبعا لجنة الامتحان or the people who did the exam or ما أدري شو they're gonna give you after a set of people سووا الامتحان. هكذا شخص سوى الامتحان و they generated their own curve. وهذا بعد كذا شخص سوى الامتحان و they generated their own curve. ومن هالكيرف يقدروا يطلعون the mean ويقدروا يطلعون the standard deviation with the variance. alright so they can give you these things. These things are given من الساتس or من ال ACTs. alright قالوا لكم نحن we're gonna denote the normal distribution of our exam إن المين كان مثلا for SATs was 1500 and the variance كان 90000. okay وال ACTs قالوا لكم نحن we're gonna denote our normal distribution at the mean of it being مثلا 21 and the variance at 25. They gave you the mean, they gave you the variance. They gave you the mean, they gave you the variance. الحين what you're gonna do is you're gonna use this equation. alright so you're gonna use Z equals to X minus the mean over the standard deviation. X is the score we got, the score Ahmed got or the score Muhammad got. Mean is the mean of Ahmed or the mean of Muhammad. كل واحد بروحه الحين. We're gonna compute this equation twice. So once for Ahmed, once for Muhammad. For what we're gonna do, is we're gonna do مثلا حق أحمد Z equals to his score was 1800 minus 1500 over هم شو عطونا هني؟ عطونا the variance. How do you go from variance to standard deviation? You square root the standard deviation بيطلع لكم هذا. So you're gonna get the square root of 90,000. بيطلع لكم a value في calculated بيطلع لكم 1. بعدين we can do the same thing for Muhammad. Which is gonna be Z equals to, what did you get? 24 minus 21 over square root of 25. Z is gonna equal to 0.6. And here in the Z scoring system, what you're gonna do is basically كل ما الرقم أعلى كل ما the score أعلى. يعني you did better. So which number is bigger, 1 or 0.6? It's 1. So Ahmed did better than Muhammad in the exam generally. So this is how you calculate the normal distribution. Now for I got Dr. Poisson. I don't know how to say it either. I think I'm just gonna say Poisson. The Poisson distribution basically, it's a bit complicated. It basically wants to give you the occurrence of a rare event over a specific period of time or area. So this Poisson distribution, or I don't know how to say it. أحس يا رب الفيديو ما يوصل حق حد بس يعني Poisson. It's either area or time. So it's something that happens over time or something that happens over a fixed area. When is it useful? It's useful when events are happening independently, but at a constant average rate. هذو events happen at a rate of lambda. So this lambda basically means شو incidence rate. Alright. So الحين مثلا imagine there's في مرض okay, leukemia, which is basically blood cancer. So acute lymphocytic leukemia, and which is denoted as ALL, which is basically blood cancer, but for kids, which happens to the children ages between 0 and 14, okay, was approximately 30 diagnosed cases per million children per year in 2010. All right. So one thing you want to know is, or we want to write is شو مكتوب 30 cases per million per year. One thing I'd recommend is you translating this into a fraction format. Okay, so it's 30 cases per million and divided by 1 million. So every 1 million fee 30 cases. Okay, per 1 year. So division by division هذا يروح فوق, it's 30 cases per 1 million times 1 year. Alright, so this is the translation basically of what they gave us. وهذا هو the incidence rate of 1 year. Okay, so the incidence rate of 1 year is this. Alright, فأول سؤال يقول لكم what is the incidence rate over 5-year period. نحن شو سوينا توا؟ قلنا lambda of 1 equals to 30 cases over 1 million per 1 year. Alright, I mean 1 over 5 years. What you're gonna do is just replace the 1 with 5. So it's gonna be 30 over 1 million blah 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 times 5 بيطلع لكم a value. Okay, so this value اللي هني المفروض like وين. Okay, the value المهم بيطلع لكم is 1.5 times 10 to the minus 4. So this is the incidence rate of 5 years. Alright, هذا طلعنا الحين. Okay, الحين the other part of the question قال لكم in a city of 75,000 people. So we have a city وفي 75,000 شخص. Okay, وهالأشخاص من اليهال للعيايز يعني everyone included. What's the probability of observing exactly 8 cases over of all over 5-year period? So one thing you want to calculate, أول شيء شو قالوا لكم إن هالsmall city فيها 75,000 شخص. في السؤال قالوا لكم approximately 20% of the US population is in this age range. نحن what age range are we looking for 0 to 14. فقالوا لكم only 20% of the US population. فهني عندنا هالسؤال إن it's 75,000 people. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go and do 75,000 ضرب 20%, which is equivalent to 75,000 ضرب 0.2. Alright, and you're gonna get a number. That number is 15,000. So أول شيء لازم تعرفون كم شخص we're looking at في هال شو اسمه range مال هالمرض. Good. Okay. So قلنا شو إن it's 15,000 people or 15,000 children. Okay. فالحين شو قال لكم بعدين؟ قال لكم نبغى we wanna observe exactly 8 cases of all over 5-year period. Okay. نحن أول شي حسبنا شي فوق صح, which is the incidence rate at 5 years كان شو 1.5 times 10 to the power of minus 4. Alright, هذا هو incidence rate over 5 period. هني when you're gonna calculate the lambda itself, okay, you're gonna do the incidence rate of 5 years times شو اسمه the population. So basically 1.5 times 10 to the minus 4. What's the population you were looking for حق هالمرض? It was 15,000. بيطلع لكم 2.25. فلامدا is equal to 2.25. This is the rate per unit population per unit time that they're giving us. Okay. المهم الحين what you're gonna do is بعد ما طلعت the lambda قلنا cut. This is the lambda. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna use this equation, okay? P of x at what x they gave us, okay? Which is equal to e to the power of negative lambda times lambda to the power of x over x factorial. Do we have x? Yes, it's 8. Do we have lambda? Yes, it's 2.5. Directly just plug. If it's gonna be p of x at 8 equals to e minus 2.25 times 2.25 to the power of 8 over 8 factorial, which is gonna equal to 0.00171. Or قلنا لكم again, probability is out of 1 from 0 to 1, which is 0 to 100%. You can تحسبونه or translate it to percentage format, which is 0.17%. Alright, so exactly at 8, 0.17%. الحين سوي نفس الحركة مع binomial distribution بعدين في another question. قالكم بدال exactly at 8 قالكم observing 8 or more cases. So x is gonna be more or equal to 8. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do this equation, okay, for x being more than or equal to 8. بس الحين نحن شو كنا نقول إنه هو out of كم شخص لين 30. قلنا the cases per year or the شو اسمه is 30. Am I gonna calculate from 0 to 30 from 8 to 30? That's too much. It's easier to calculate from 0 to 8. مثل ما كنت قاعدة أقول لكم 0 to 30. هم يبون يعرفون from 8 or more. So 8 or more أكثر شيء you can reach is 30. So they want to know the probability اللي هني. It's easier for me to calculate the probability اللي هني and do the probability of this minus 1, which is هالرقم ولا 1 minus this probability اللي هني, which is going to equal to this probability اللي هني. So we're going to do probability of x being greater or equal to 1 of 8 equals to 1 minus the probability of p being less than 8. And we don't want to include 8. So you're going to do the probability of of x being less than 8, which is equal to the probability of x being at 0 plus the probability of x being at 1 plus the probability of x being at 2, and also the probability of x equals to 7. You're going to calculate each one of them individually in this equation اللي فوق that we talked about in x equal to the specific number of x we're looking for, which is equal to e to the power of negative lambda times x over x factorial. So lambda to the power of x. Alright, so it's gonna give you a value حق كل واحد منهم and you're gonna add it up وبيطلع لكم هذا. You're gonna take this, plug it back here, so in 1 minus, okay? Lambda is fixed. What we are changing is the x. Just replug the x. If you know how to use the table, use the table. If you don't know how to use the table, look it up. It's easier than calculating كل هذا. ولا إذا تبون just double check, calculate هذا by hand and go to the table and get the values and add them up. بيطلع لكم the probability of x more than or equal to 8. بيطلع لكم a number. This number again تقدروا convert it to a percentage. Oh, that's it so far يعني. Again, let me explain بعد شيء. الحين قلنا الباينوميال is شو n و p. The parameters of binomial is n و p. We're just talking about n و p when we're talking about binomial stuff, صح ولا لا؟ الحين how do you calculate the mean و how do you calculate the standard deviation؟ لازم تعرفون هالأشياء بعد. The mean is n times p. The standard deviation, okay, is n times p, 1 minus the probability over the square root. You guys need to know how equations بعد. نفس الشيء the normal distribution. What are the parameters of the normal distribution? It's the mean and the variance. These are the two parameters. Alright? How do you calculate the mean? Who is the mean? يعني مش قاعدة أخرف. المهم. And the standard deviation is the standard deviation. There's no way to... and it's already given. Right? نفس الشيء هني حق Poisson distribution or Poisson ما أدري كيف يقولونه. Okay? the way you calculate it is شو قلنا the parameters of هال distribution is lambda. But this is the only symbol we're talking about مثلا هني, okay, which is lambda. Lambda هو نفسه the mean, okay. Square root of the mean is the standard deviation. This is هني a normal distribution قلنا هذا المفروض by the way يكون squared. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance, okay, which is يعني هذا نفسه. And the binomial distribution قلنا n و p. How do you calculate the mean? It's n times p. The standard deviation is np 1 minus p, right? So that's it so far. Good luck. I don't think I didn't explain anything else. إذا تبوني أشرح this part اللي فوق مال the random variable. The random variable أباكم تعرفون كم من شيء عشان you just calculate it, okay? You want to know 3 equations exactly. How do you calculate the mean? So you're going to calculate the mean using this EX, which means the expected value. شو يعني mean? mean يعني the average. يعني أقول لك الحين الكلاس سوى امتحان كان زفت, okay? What's the mean? What do you think the average is? You think the average is going to be like 30. So this is the expected value we're looking for. This is the expected number we're looking for, which is another word of saying the mean, or another word of saying the average. You're going to do X times P, X times the probability at this value. And another thing I want you guys to know is كيف تحسبون the variance, which depends on the mean. And then you guys can calculate, if you get the variance, you can do square root of the number you got, which is equal to the standard deviation. Oh, that's it.